Good morning, UniVersus fans across the globe. I'm Barrett Bryant, joined once again for this lovely Sunday with TamCardwell and Sam Tate because it is the Championship Sunday for the UniVersus Canadian Regional held in Toronto. And boy, howdy, I just got to start things off. I know we kind of alluded to it before we said goodbye to you all yesterday, but this top 8 is absolutely stacked with talent. Multiple players here with champion cards, multiple players here with regional wins, multiple players here proving to see if they still have what it takes to win and take it down. Tam, we've got to talk about this top 8. Who do you think is going to take it down?
Man, it is tough because there's not a single new name here. Every single person on this list has some sort of accolade. I actually think you could even go as far as every single person on this list has multiple accolades inside of the regional or national or world setting. And so it really is an entire lineup of killers. If I had to put my money on anyone, I think that Wub has a decent chance to prove once again that he is Zeke, Yeager, Warchief, that he's just the guy to do it. So come in first place in Swiss and is just going to run that first turn advantage all the way through. Sam, what are you thinking?
You know, I'm looking at this top cut spread, and there is a distinct lack of one thing, and that is hacker extraordinaire symbols. So I'm going to put my pony rigged up to the Hawks card because that massive mutant machine combo is incredibly potent. We saw it all over the stream the day before. And if you don't have defensive asset hate, I feel like this deck is going to have a clear path to victory. He does have to overcome Calvin Tahan on Godzilla, though, and Godzilla is one of the best premier aggressive decks, so it might be an uphill battle just to get out of the top 8. But that's true for all of these matchups. All of these matchups have some of the best characters that we've had in our formats. Jacob Johnson reviving the overhaul, but on the back of that massive mutant machine as well. So those are the two decks that really caught my attention from yesterday, and they had to play against each other. We might have that rematch in top 4. As interesting as this top 8 is, the potential top 4 matchups look way more interesting to me. Barrett, who do you think has the best chance to move on to the top 4?
I think, you can't refute what Tam said, Calvin Harrigal or Wub having a very strong chance here, being able to go first the entire day. But that being said, I've just watched 2 regionals for the past 2 weeks where Pony Tsunotori became your Swiss champ character, but then lost to 8th seed. It only makes sense now that Pony Tsunotori as the 8th seed character going in to reverse and flip the script to then take over the 1st seed to defeat the Swiss champ curse, at least on the other side of this. So I think there's a world where that goes, but I think obviously we have to talk about it. The only character repeating here is that Warchief character, Zeke Yeager Warchief. So the chances that one of them moves on is pretty high, but of course we then have to talk about Corey Nelson, because Corey Nelson is the only Midoriya on the move deck that made it into this top 8, and he played incredibly well when we put him on stream yesterday. And people think that this is the best deck in the format. Nay, I say, alongside Zeke Yeager, the only 2 characters here, at least in these past couple of regionals we've had, to have won recently. Because Rodan, that was months ago. Andrew Porat, kind of old news at this point. Because there are some heavy hitters, like we said, all across this top 8 bracket. So I really do think this could be another moment for Midoriya on the move to shine. But I think Zeke or Warchief must have a high chance of moving on to top 4 as well. But I gotta say, as I always do, I'm putting my money on the horse. Pony Tsunotori with Tim Keefe piloting that deck, and we saw him play immaculately yesterday. But it could be anybody's game. Tam, do you still believe in the pony run?
I do. I think so. I have to bet on Calvin Harrigal in the first round because if Tim makes it through, I'm I'm back on in the pony club the rest of the way, no matter what happens. And so I think the one thing that I really want to point out here is just truly the diversity of this top cut. It looks undiverse because of the double Warchief, but again, it harkens back to the Louisville regional where we had both life and chaos. These decks are doing two completely different things. They could be two completely different decks if you really sit and look at it. We have essentially eight unique characters doing eight unique things inside of this top cut bracket. This format feels very healthy, very good, and every single one of these characters, outside of maybe overhaul, I could have pegged at being inside of this top cut. I'm really excited to see where the rest of this bracket goes, and I'm so bummed we're not actually watching every single one of these matchups. If I could just spend the next 12 hours watching every single one of these players play out the next 7 matches, I could die happy. I'm really excited for the day. It's going to be, I think this is going to be possibly the best regional of the year when it comes to what the output of like top 8 of just like the pure force that these players are bringing.
I couldn't agree more. But with that being said, Sam, as I'm going to pass it to you anyway, we do have our first match and our players are getting ready to go. So I'm going to bid you both farewell. Sam, Tam, enjoy watching one of these high octane top 8 matches, because I think my last note is I'm going to be surprised on who wins every single one of these matches all day today, because I think literally any 8 of these players could win this whole event. But you guys have fun. Good luck. And I wish you well.
Thanks, Barrett.
We'll see you later for top 4, Barrett. But now we've got our top 8 matchup, and it's going to be that Pony Tsunotori versus Calvin Harrigal on Zeke Yeager Warchief. And let me be the first to downplay Pony Tsunotori because I love the air symbol and I love decks that clear the card pool so much. I believe that Tim Keefe is going to pull a Jiro maneuver and throw this top cuts match specifically so Pony doesn't get hit before I can play her in Atlanta. Tam, what do you think? How do you think this matchup is going to shake down?
I think this matchup is going to be exactly like we said for every single Pony matchup. It is all going to be about what does the first 2 turns of the game look like. If Pony can get enough foundations in her stable, enough foundations in her stage so that her turn 2 is high impact, high octane, and pops off and truly goes for it, there's very few decks in the game that can stop what she's got going on. But as soon as that you look at the other side, we've got Zeke Yeager Warchief, who is a defensive powerhouse. He is a character that the more pink cards you have, the better off he is when it comes to how high his health is, as well as his draw power to stave off this high impact. So these first couple turns, I think, are really going to matter pretty severely. But starting off with an attack card, kind of not where I expected Zeke to be. I expected a rebuild stabilization kind of idea, but I guess the draw is important.
Yeah, a big thing about this character, and we saw it in Caden's Chaos list, all the way back in Louisville in top 2, is Zeke Yeager has incredible early aggressive potential because of this check bonus. We see the Inspiring Song, and the die next to the discard pile makes me believe that we've got +1 to our check from Inspiring Song and +2 from Zeke Yeager. So starting off with a very mild 4 diff, the burn on Harnessing Chaos probably not going to be too impactful, even if this did deal damage. But I have to imagine we're going to see a huge attack. And here it is. It looks like it's a Resurrected Titans through the glare, which means we're going to be able to sacrifice a foundation, search our deck for an attack, and it could potentially get -3 difficulty if we want to play it after this Resurrected Titan.
I think Resurrected isn't it. I think this is Armored Titan Rush.
Oh, I apologize.
Yeah.
The glare is directly on the
They look the same for sure. 6 mid 9 can't be blocked by non-attack cards. Can't be blocked by foundations.
By non-attack.
Cannot be blocked with a non-attack card. Why did we block this with a frog? Your rival cannot block this with non-attack card. Interesting.
Perhaps he just
Missed the
didn't decide to
blitz,
call the blitz. Yeah.
maybe. Either way, we've got that stabilization that we were looking for, and I think that this entire turn was, we saw that the Armor Titan rush existed, and that is, when I said stabilization, that's one of the cards that I was talking about. On its backside, being able to destroy it, to put an attack's damage down to 0 is a very easy way to keep this 29 health nice and high.
Yeah, and you were talking about the early turns for pony decks, and it's like a drug. It's like a disease. When you've got the power that Pony has, especially with Tim starting his turn with 2 counters already, that makes a huge difference. Starting with 1 counter or starting with 0 counters changes the amount of attacks you can play while clearing your card pool. And this is one of my favorite plays from the Pony deck now, is using Sweeping Daggers to steal the Beast Titan's Rock Barrage. And while previously Sweeping Daggers usually didn't have very many good backup options, this Genghis Frog has been integral to Pony Tsunotori's gameplay, adding in that missing element of damage pump. And so you've got +3 damage to all your moves. You've got the ability to essentially stay on only +1 progressive for a very long time. It's so hard not to believe that you can do it on any turn, to not believe that you can do it on any foundation count. And I mean, these are prime parameters for Tim Keefe to score a turn 2 kill.
Yeah, and that not Sweeping Daggers. I'm pretty sure this is Hunter's Ally.
Oh,
To do that same idea, to build in the frog. Well, I'm sure we'll see a Sweeping Daggers steal a Rock Barrage here soon. But we went for the minus damage here because we have this reused AZ trainees. If Calvin decides to block, this is an additional foundation we get to build out of our hand directly into the stage to continue the onslaught. But a little trepidation from Tim saying maybe we don't have more gas to be played. He's one of these players that if he sees the aggressive line, he's just going to take it.
Yeah, usually when it comes to Pony decks, the skill is understanding when to pump the brakes. And Pony has some of the better defense in the format. The ability to go digging for specific cards like Filled with Doubt, to go looking for the correct block zone. Yes, you typically do go down a card in hand size to do that. But with Feral Shrieks, with Wish Hearts, you can usually stay even for a pretty long time. And then on top of that, defensive zone change means even if you don't find the right block zone in a desperate situation, you can rezone the rival's attack to always have the correct block zone. So Pony with minus speed, with zone changing, with all that filtering to go find the right cards, this is a character that you should feel comfortable playing defense for at least 1 turn.
Maybe not, as Falling Titans hits the table with 2 backups currently in stage. This is one of the ways that Warchief gets the kill. Right now, this is representing 18 damage if we decide to full send this attack, playing itself, destroying a backup to lift itself back up and playing it again. We've got these backups, not to mention if there's any number of rock barrages that we can weave in between to add in more. We always talk about, oh man, Pony is starting the turn, when does it end, what's going to happen? I feel the exact same way. Even if Zeke currently has a singular copy of a backup, I don't know if this is a poke or not when it comes to the kill potential that Warchief has with just this amazing secret rare from Attack on Titan 3.
Yeah, the little tip that I got was we sacrificed the backup to draw a card with Zeke Yeager instead of bouncing the attack, which made me believe that this was not going to be the most lethal string. However, if Tim had decided to block this attack, check a 3, commit out, things can change, right? That's the context of a turn is, you can play this Falling Titans, you can have no intention to follow up on it. But depending on what your rival does, if we tried to block that on an 8 and committed all but 2 or 3 cards in our stage, things could have changed very quickly, especially with that big check bonus on Zeke Yeager. So Tim Keefe playing it safe, taking the 6 damage, allowing the Falling Titans to go shift into the stage, and mostly backups being built by Calvin here has him set up really well for next turn. But Tim's in the driver's seat now. We see one of my favorite attacks. I still think it's the best attack in the format. It's one you gotta be at least thinking about. You have to have a very good reason not to include this card somewhere on your deck list. I'm hoping I'm right this time because the feed is actually kind of fuzzy for me. Is this Vast Hybrid Chimera Kraken, Tam?
It's it is very recognizable. This is a Vast Hybrid Chimera Kraken. One of the best attacks in the game, probably the best attack in the game, truthfully. Until maybe next year. Selective commit and freeze of a problem card, followed by being able to commit out assets if we had any. But 4 high for 6, 4 high for 9 with the Genghis Frog. This card is just pure value.
Yeah, this one is absolutely amazing. It clears the way. This is a bulldozer for the air and chaos, and sometimes the water symbol. It synergizes so well with things that they want to do. The leading 2 threats is, targeted threats with no momentum cost, no extra hoops, right? That's really the biggest difference between Vast Hybrid Chimera Kraken and, a card like maybe, say, Ice Sword Execution that has to spend momentum to get the freeze element and things like that. So this looks really good to start things off, but Vast Hybrid, one of the things that makes it so good is it is a solid poke. If it deals damage, you can bank it for later. If you don't kill your rival this turn, you froze their best foundation for later. So this is another one of those turns where Pony maybe doesn't have to go all in here. We see the Zeke blocking with the +1 high block, no resources committed, and back-to-back 3 checks for Tim. Is this a Pony moment where we try to force things and say, if I stop checking poorly, I can still, put together a really healthy string because of my ability to clear the card pool? Or is this the pivot moment where we've been told, hey, it's probably not happening this turn. Let's recoup our resources and play some defense?
Yeah, I dig it. I'm nervous, but I do think that this is. We get to buy back a singular foundation with a Mother's Embrace, and so 4 foundations is probably plenty, depending on the amount of counters that we have to generate with Pony. Because again, all of these moves are going to get +3 damage with the frog, but we have transformed now over to Beast Titan Finale, saying every these last 2 backups that we have ready, I can commit and then redraw a card, gain a life. So the number is not 25, it's 27. Using Onya Capone to make this number 10 pro hero not count as progressive, essentially saying -1 speed to all of Pony's move. You want to do a little bit of backwards math here. Just saying that blocking is going to be just a little bit easier. The onus is on Tim to find lethal, because with this Zeke's determination in the Zeke's chains unbroken, is that the name of the backside of the card? Sorry, Zeke's dream becoming real. There's the back of it. We have Falling Titans available to sling 3, 4, 5 times, and with that +2 check over and over and over again, I smell lethal if we get back to Calvin's turn.
Yeah, another +1 high block coming down here, though. The no progressive is going to make this a little bit easier than it probably should have been to block this attack. But with that Genghis Frog, you gotta respect them all, right? These are 7 damage minimum moves, and here's a wonderful tech piece for the air symbol coming in. Violent Animus Shot, known enemy to backups, but this is something I think we talked about on the stream yesterday. This is something I've been talking about in Discords a lot recently, is flashing Violent Animus Shot and Pony feels really bad. And despite
Yeah.
its amazing ability to delete backups, Tim doesn't see any backups that are kind of standing in his way. He realizes instead he needs to draw more cards, he needs to generate more counters, and he needs to clear his card pool because we've got our Breaker 2, our Shobujin's Message committed. We've got our Masho Concealment committed. This is looking like we are committed to this turn, at least for another attack or two. And that attack being one that, if it deals damage, is going to rip a random card out of Calvin's hand. That could be worth it, even if you have to pass to your rival, because we might be ripping a win condition out.
Yeah, Black with another Titan backup here, though. So +2 to our check. This was on a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Checks a 4, becomes a 6, commits our last 2 foundations. And so now shields down over on Wub side. Yes, you got that one backup to gain a health, but Pony has found 27 under more dire situations. It just depends on how much more gas is left in Tim's tank. Without the clearing of the Moth, kind of telegraphing that the turn might be over, which is a pretty bad spot if you're a Tim Keefe Pony fan.
Yeah, pretty rough to run into triple +1 high block, but that's something the life symbol has been known for pretty much since the MHA reboot.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, Tam, but one of the big appeals to playing the life symbol in set 1 was that it had really good +1 block mods in every zone in a lot of ways. And we see that in today's world with the #1 pro heroes of the world. Heck, a syndicate target's a +0 low, and those cards can be bounced back to our hand with cards like Incredible Display. The life symbol's kind of always been known for having these amazing block mods, but we're going to push through for one more attack. It's going to be a violent animus shot, and this is going to decimate our stage.
Yeah, checking that 3 here. The question is, does Tim commit out for it? A slew of bad checks to turn our entire stage sideways for not even a drop of blood. I don't think we've landed a single move yet.
If we did, it definitely got healed off because Wub's health total has only gone up. But that triple high block in the card pool says we pretty much definitely haven't dealt damage. So do you commit your last foundation here, remove a backup, and draw a card? I kind of feel like we should at this point. A 4 high flash should deal damage even with the +2 check bonus on Zeke's side. And I think ripping one of these cards out of the hand has some value, and denying Zeke the ability to draw an additional card as well by flashing this. So Onyak Capone's going to get removed from the game. We're going to deal a chunky bit of damage here. We got +2 from our Banshee Sword Shriek, one of my least favorite card names to say because of how much of a tongue twister it is. But 10 damage feels okay, but not at the cost of our entire stage.
Yeah, it certainly tied up the game, but man, if there's even a little bit of aggression over here on Calvin's side, it almost feels like we should just scoop it up. Reviewing the high value target, redrawing 5 fresh cards, and as soon as we enter the enhanced step, we can pick up that Falling Titans and represent 18 damage just all by its lonesome.
Yeah, notably, if we sacrifice any more backups, we do stop getting the check bonus, which probably won't matter considering we only have to resolve 2 attacks to get rid of Pony. And then here is, yeah, we're not going to sacrifice this backup, so this is not a throw. This is potentially blockable with the Genghis Frog, and Pony does have some speed reduction, so it's not as heinous as it could be. But the +2 to the checks, the Falling Titan in the stage, it's not looking good if you're a Pony fan.
Yeah, this is tough as we lift up this Zeke's dreams becoming real, going down to 4 foundations active and ready in Zeke's stage. But I feel like the writing is on the wall as we're staring down a 6 mid for 8 that Pony has to answer, or I think it's just going to be game over.
Yeah, I don't know what could save Tim in this instance unless he has a Filled with Doubt for the Falling Titans, potentially an Airy Smiles partial block here to add in some extra difficulty, bamboozle Calvin into overextending. It is possible. We have seen stranger things in this game, but it's going to take the culmination of multiple A+ effects in this scenario, and Tim's body language is not giving me that confidence.
Yeah, this is Tim Keefe is a math man. This guy counts it out. As you can see him doing a little calculus here on the left side of his mat, trying to figure out how many counters do I use? Do I take this one so I can block the next one? He does not think about this attack. He thinks about 4 attacks into the future. And so that is exactly what's happening as we are trying to solve the puzzle.
Looks like we're going to elect to take the Beast Titan attacks. Not feeling too good with that health total on Pony's side, but here comes the Falling Titans on a 7. We're going to check a 7. Like you mentioned, we've got 2 backups to spend to be able to potentially do this again, clearing out a bad check in our wake. But here comes the speed reduction from Pony. Or is that a rezone? I can't see the stats of. There we go. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, speed reduction for sure as Kiyomi comes in to hit the block. Oh, but it fails, dropping all the way down to 2 as we destroy and pick back up this Falling Titan to play it again on the 7. Checks another 3. I think back-to-back 3s over here on Wub's side. This was on the 7. We completely commit out. But the question is
now we don't have the 2 backups. We don't get this check bonus. If Tim can survive this Falling Titans right here, that could be the end of Wub's turn.
Certainly could be. The only active resource we have is our character if we find a 4 difficulty move to slam, and then stop checking the 3s, check the 5 as we go to the block. Looks like we're going to pick it back up and then play it. Just kidding. It's on the 5, but we check another 3 and we pass. 3 threes in a row.
Simple, Cam. You do the rezone. You do the minus speed use, the best block mod in your hand, and both players are checking poorly, right? This is a recipe of both players checking 3s back to back to back on basically every attack, and Tim Keefe getting one more shot at this.
17, way easier to find than the 29 that we were dealing with before, especially with Zeke now no longer having the +2 to the check on a defense. As we open with an Electric Moth saying, we are a 7-hander, but let's grab a couple more cards. Man, not the way that I expected that turn to go, Sam.
No, I mean, typically when you've got those check bonuses, the game feels very easy, right? Getting rid of the randomization of the control check is one of the most important things really strong decks can do, whether it's check bonuses like City Rampage and Godzilla, whether it's looking at the top card of your deck like Rodan, whether it's playing moves at discounted rates or not having to attack like Ghidorah. There's a lot of ways that you can sort of get around, or even just playing one attack like Deku, right? Check 1/5 is much easier than trying to check 3 5s. So it felt like you had everything in your hand, but that Violent Animus shot, getting rid of exactly one backup, mattered so much.
Yeah, I love that heads up play. He knew that it was time to stop on this turn, and so we had to cancel the flow that Beast Titan Finale has access to. Sam, I think we have 5 attacks in Pony's hand.
Yeah.
I don't even know what we're supposed to discard and redraw at this point. As Wub goes down to 10, 2 more attacks is going to clean this up as we take, and we're checking. What is the correct move? What am I supposed to play here?
Yeah, this is making sure that we don't fumble in the end zone, right? Making sure that we can safely maneuver through. Because we thought Zeke had it in the bag, and I know everyone thinks Tim has it in the bag, but he's making sure that even if I check running 3s, I can deal 10 damage here. And We are going to go for the Hunter's Ally on a 6, probably the riskiest play we could have made. But we're only going to commit one foundation. We're going to look for the best ally foundation in our discard pile. Which one is it going to be? Is there Science Bros? Is that what you would grab, Tam?
It would be if, and here's the crazy thing, Tim is running a singular copy of Science Bros.
Is it the last card in his deck? That would be
no, it's in his sideboard.
Oh, you know,
what a crazy place for that card to be. I thought that card was a staple.
I am not a Science Bros believer, except for the Hunter's Ally version of this deck. I wasn't playing Science Bros and Pony until we were playing 4 Hunter's Ally to get Genghis Frog out, and then I thought, well, I gotta put some ally foundations in the deck. So that's kind of crazy to me too. But I was not the biggest Science Bros believer with the Feral Shrieks and the Wish Hearts, you know. But that's very funny to find out that, you know, isn't it great how you can build your deck how you want in this game? How you don't have
It's
to
so cool.
How you don't have to play all the same cards as everyone else. If you wanted to, there's versions of Pony that don't play Genghis Frog and Hunter's Ally, and they do just fine.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Like Genghis Frog is just a tool in Pony's tool belt, just like the electric moth that we're seeing for the second time this turn. Let's refuel that hand. We've discarded too many cards, Sam. We got to get this hand back up so we can draw even more attacks.
Yep, and the writing should be on the wall here pretty soon. Calvin taking all this damage, waiting for the lethal attacks, waiting to, you know, make sure Tim Keefe sort of has it, which we all know sitting at home that he does. Some card pool clearing going to happen, going to stay off that progressive difficulty. I don't think this Zeke Yeager deck has many stop signs, right? I don't think it has a big breaker number, and there's going to be a 3 check. Once again, another attack checked by Wub. Can't feel great, even if the writing was on the wall. That one just feels like twisting the knife after how those turns went. But Tim Keefe going to break serve in game 1.
Yeah, that was tough for your most recent North American regional champion. Doing an incredible job of surviving the storm, weathering it up, because even if, let's pretend, Sam, that all of the 3 checks were 5s over on Pony's side, we were surviving that turn, I think, completely and fully. I think we had run out of attack cards in Pony's hand. I think we were digging to go and find those perfect blocks for over on Zeke's turn. And so I think it was just the fact of like one of these players built out more foundations than the other. And like you said before, removing that Oya Capone to interact with Zeke Yeager, Beast Titan finales +2 to the check was really the key piece. Finding, switching, adapting the game plan to make sure that, you know, my attacking turn is over. I need to make sure that your attacking turn is worse. Just shows you the caliber that we are playing at this regional. I love it. I'm so enthralled.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible to think about how not only would having the Onya Capone mean that we'd get the check bonus, but it also would have meant that our first attack would not count towards progressive, which would have changed the layout of this game immensely. It would have almost certainly caused us to have a completely different result in the first game there. But what absolutely nail-biting action. And it's unfortunate, right, that it was essentially both players' bad luck that really told the story of that game, because the reason it's so amazing that Tim was able to survive in the first place was because he had committed out just trying to play a couple 4-diff attacks, just trying to get some counters, you know, do his Pony thing. And then it was Calvin returning the favor that ended up passing the game back to him. But Calvin's going to get to go first again. This time we're post sideboard. This time we've got that technology. Do you think the Science Bros comes in from the sideboard?
Oh, maybe. I think it's a big maybe, because if you notice, on every single attack that we possibly could, we used the ability on Pony for that +2 speed. We were spinning horn counters over and over and over, because the thing that we didn't want is we didn't want Zeke to block. We had to fight that check bonus over and over and over again. If we were allowed to remove 2 cards, give the +2/+2, and save a horn counter for maybe an additional clear, or save the horn counter for +2 speed on a different move. It could be worthwhile, but it really is going to all depend on what does Tim value here. Is another 3 difficulty foundation going to be the thing that gets the job done? I mean, we'll just have to see.
Yeah, I don't know if you do anything different, right, for either player. When it comes down to control checks, it's just a part of the game. It's, to me, essentially the same as just not drawing attacks, right? It's another part of the randomization of the game, and so it is one that you can sort of play around better. You can adjust on the fly around, but the blind checking element of it means that I don't think you switch up your game plan too much. I don't think any players are making mistakes, right? You just gotta hope. You just gotta believe that those fives are gonna appear at the top of your deck.
I want to talk about the other thing that happened in this match. On turn 2, Pony found the best backup in their deck, which is undeniably Genghis Frog. And Sam, did you notice that there were 9 whole Titans missing out of Wub stage literally the entire time?
That's a very good point. We did not have access to the most potent of the backups. We also didn't get to play a Beast Titans Rock Barrage, which, that is really that lethal combo. You don't actually see 9 Titans come up very often in decks that aren't playing the Rock Barrage, right? It's really the ability to summon it from the discard pile whenever your rival attacks it and clears it, if they can. No Hanj gamers in this top cut, uh, but it's really the ability to tutor it up from the discard pile that makes it so absolutely game breaking. And we didn't see the Rock Barrages or the 9 Titans come out.
Yeah, massive build though, as we have Wub back on the stage again. Wait, is that a 9? Did I miss a 9 Titans check? It might be the
I
second
think
to
so. I
top
think that's
card.
the Pearl.
Hey, all it takes is 1 Rock Barrage, like you said, a card we didn't have last time, to completely flip the script on this game, as matching a build 3 with a build 4, but Zeke's got a couple homies on his stage instead of the foundations.
Yeah, Zeke's he's acquiring the Goon Squad.
Yeah.
And it's gonna take a lot of goons to take down Tim Keefe. And this deck has a lot of spam foundations. When you don't build very many foundations and your 1 difficulty slot is taken up by the Yeager's followers, there's a lot of space for building well, and you got to lean into the really high quality zero divs that the life symbol has. But this means that aside from a little bit of stun hate, Wub's stage is a little blank. Speaking of blank,
Yeah, speaking of blank, filled without coming in, taking all the abilities off of this Violent Animus Shot, the card that single-handedly, I think, won last game. So getting rid of its abilities now rather than later, I think is a big deal. Very heads-up play from him.
yeah, sealing this attack, protecting those backups. Again, not 100% sure if the plan was going to be to flash this attack and not build any counters, but early on in the game with a handy dandy poke is definitely a good time to do the flash, in my opinion. First attack of the game doesn't feel too bad, even with the 3 check, right? Getting rid of because it removes it from the game. Let's talk about how important removing it from the game is in this matchup. We just talked about how Beast Titans Rock Barrage, the ability to dredge that card up from the discard pile, being the lethal combo that really sends 9 Titans over the edge. But Zeke Yeager also wants backups in the discard pile to transform, right? So removing these from the game is kind of a 2-pronged assault on the Zeke Yeager game plan.
Yeah, I think probably the best case scenario there, because what I constantly say it. I think backups are the coolest card type in the game. It used to be actions. I thought actions were dope. But I love backups so much, not because of the story elements that they showcase, but because they're like assets that you're allowed to attack. Assets are so good, they're so strong, they're so powerful. And asset hate is so limited. When it comes to backups, though, every attack you're allowed to swing at them and deal with them. The exception here is that because of the ability of Zeke Warchief, if you take and you target the backup as an attack target, you can destroy the backup that we have to draw the card. It drops the attack. You no longer get enhances. You no longer get any of that. The reason Violent Animus is so good is you target one of the backups with the Violent Animus, you then flash, remove a different one, attack one, remove the other. Such a high impact play to do against Zeke Yeager on that front side, but Filled Out just comes in and says that that's just not possible.
Yeah, having sack outlets to combat targeted removal is really something that UniVersus is kind of new to. Even if your rival targets and commits and freezes your best foundation, that doesn't necessarily mean that you want to sacrifice it for -2 damage or something along the way. But Zeke Yeager is following a principle of card games that we just haven't really been privy to until the Attack on Titan sets gave us backups, gave us these additional targets. So it's very interesting to see how he gets around that counterplay of aiming at the backups, denying the free momentum that they would otherwise get. But you want to talk about dredging cards up from the discard pile. Here's that Hunter's Ally bringing us an ally card to our stage. This has been very transformative of how pony decks get to play the game.
You said the word transformative, and I have to point out that we did transform from Warchief into Beast Titan finale. Very poignant here. Drawing 2 bonus cards here, a third off of this large abnormal Titan. We've gone from a 6 hand size character to a 9 hand size character inside of this cycle pretty quick. We are down here to weather the storm that Pony can bring with that number 10 pro hero coming in, that 1 high block that started up our defensive turn last time. And huge offensive piece here, a piece that I've never seen in Pony. I had to go look it up myself. Battlefield Aid being responded with and played here. It is a 3/5 says response after attack is completely blocked, clear from the card pool. Hey, we just saved ourselves 3 horde encounters here off of this 3/5 low block. A piece of technology that I'm gonna have to go look at in Pony after this event.
Yeah, I think a lot of players opt to play the 1/4 that gives bonus speed, and then does the same thing if the rival clears blocks the attack, it clears as well. But this is a response. You get to choose when you do it. It's anytime your rival blocks, making it a lot more likely that you'll actually get the clear effect from it. And I'm not the biggest believer in what my opponent's going to do. I'm definitely more of a Thunder Spear gamer, but I also like Invisible Infiltration, to ready it and rebuy it and ready it again and things like that. Kiyomi plus Thunder Spear demo goes absolutely insane in this character. But hey, Battlefield Aid, we get to keep the resource ready. We don't have to use a Kiyomi trigger on it. That feels pretty good too.
I love it. It's very, very cool technology. Either way, as second Hunter's Ally is coming down, building in that Kiyomi that you were talking about, and then following it up with a Moth. Health total still nice and high though over on the Zeke side, staving off this defense pretty handedly. But with Moth coming in, the offense might not cease.
Yeah, that +2 to the checks is going to do a lot of work for Zeke defensively here, but clearing the card pool is probably going to do a lot for Pony as well. Saving those 3 counters on that original clear allowed us to play another 5 diff, which allowed us to get the Kiyomi, which is going to allow us to ready some of these foundations or potentially draw if we need it. But considering we just discarded 1 card and a flying elbow drop, I love the flavor on this card so much. I wish it did one other thing. It feels kind of locked to some specific characters, but anytime I can drop an elbow from the top rope in a card game, you best believe I'm behind it.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't even thought about putting that together. Just like the flying elbow drop comes out of nowhere from the removal game pile. That's actually really,
Exactly.
that's really funny.
It's such good flavor. I'm a fan of so much of the TMNT cards and how they tell the story of the turtle's personality and things like that. And Flying Elbow Drop is one of those ones I waffled on because I thought, well, on Pony, I draw so many cards. You know, how much do I want to draw what is essentially a blank 4-speed 4? But with all the card drawing that Pony's trying to do, and with Genghis Frog's damage, you're just trying to draw attacks, and Flying Elbow Drop basically says you guaranteed draw an attack from this Pony discard. So love to see it. We do see that invisible infiltration. We're gonna potentially be able to blink one of our face downs. It's gonna come back ready, face up, and you know it's gonna be the battlefield aid to continue to punish Zeke Yeager for trying to block these attacks. And this invisible infiltration is gonna pump itself. I think it only gets one bonus damage though, because Zeke is so focused on building assets and backups over actual foundations.
Yeah, this is a very very cool card, especially to keep the turn churning. Drawing cards off of Kiyomi and then rebuilding foundations back in with the invisible infiltration feels like, you know, you're having your cake and eating it too in terms of offensive gameplay maneuvers.
Yeah, it looks like we're actually going to spend a counter for a little bit of speed here. You typically don't see that until the string is about to come to an end, but potentially we just have some extra counters that we don't anticipate needing. And a 3 check on this block might just open things up just enough for Tim to continue swinging in. We've got no cards committed after the work of Kiyomi and invisible infiltration. Unfortunately, that battlefield aid is not going to hit the stage until after the attack resolves, so we can't respond with it immediately. But we can play this violent anime shot.
Yeah, I don't mind this anime shot here. It's going to be coming in. There's honestly that play of let's attack the backup, commit, flash it. Could make sense here. Put Zeke, Beast Titan finale down to a singular backup in stage, saying that your plus your check doesn't happen. It just depends on what does the rest of this turn look like, as we are currently still at a very healthy 28.
Yeah, interesting stuff here. The we don't see the pony enhance to generate counters or the card pool clear, and we do get a half block which commits Zeke pretty much all the way out. That's going to rip one of the last two cards in the handout, and finally we're going to deal some damage to the Zeke Yeager. I think that's the first attack, maybe the second attack that's dealt damage. Zeke's at a pretty high health total.
Yeah, we're at 24 over on Zeke's side, which I think if we have a bunch of 4 damage moves, 5 damage moves is even better. With this Nejire Chan of the big 3 and the help of Genghis Frog, we might
Yeah.
actually be able to find a checkmate here, especially with that flying elbow coming out of nowhere. This is a 5 high for 8, 5 high for 9 potentially.
Yeah, the elbow drop can come in for 8. That's 17. Any 4 diff after that would do it with the Genghis Frog, but can we pass these checks?
I mean, that's the question, right? We're looking for 2 5 checks off the top, be a 4, 5, 6, 7. Or even better, if we get the refresh one, checks the 5. I think we've got a dead Zeke. 6, 7.
Yeah. We're committing the Nejire Chan, so it's all down to passing the checks.
Yeah, remove to build it back in. And then we play this 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the handshake comes across.
Whoa!
And he steals it. Holy cow. Tim Keefe on Pony. Breaking serve, just like Barrett predicted at the top of the broadcast. Coming in with the win. Pony Tsunotori moves on. Wow.
Absolutely fantastic stuff. The violent anime shot not being utilized as that flash backup removal It's just being used as a 4 high for 5 that warrants an answer, forcing out that mid block, ripping out cards from Wubb's hand. I mean, he blocked what 3-4 attacks that turn, but it simply wasn't enough. This is exactly what Barrett Bryan has talked about throughout all day yesterday. Is anything your deck can do on turn 2, it can do better on turn 3. And Tim taking out the battlefield aid, showing off how saving 3 counters, getting the -1 progressive to play a second Hunter's Ally was absolutely integral to that turn, because he had just about exact resources there to pull off that win. I said he was going to pull a Jiro and tank for us, but you got to believe Tim Keefe is going all the way after that performance.
Yeah, man, what an insane line. I was ready for the turn to be over, but that just shows you the immense power of Pony Tsunotori. You never know when her turn is over. All it takes is a little bit of good luck, some good checks, and a hot draw. And I think we proved it. Pony can kill literally anybody, any person in the entire game. That was so cool.
Yeah, 2-time world champion Tim Keefe, multiple-time teams champion, I believe. Actually, that might be the one accolade he's not gotten. I'm getting mixed up by chat now, but 2-time world champion Tim Keefe, showing you exactly why and how he does it. He's going to move on to top 4, and that's going to mean that he's going to face the winner of Corey Nelson versus Kevin Broberg. So he could be facing not only his teammate and local Kevin Broberg on the same character, different symbol, Chaos Zeke Yeager, but he could also be playing against Team MJLA's Corey Nelson on Izuku Midoriya on the move, which these are 2 matchups that are considered some of the worst for Pony. The Deku decks are really good at punishing 7-handers, really good at surviving through those first couple turns. If you don't transform Midoriya, very good at chain blocking, right? Very good at blocking long strings. So he's going to have a tough road ahead of him to the finals, but that's just this side of the bracket. Do we have any updates on the other side of the bracket, or was this our first match done?
This is sadly our first match done. Yeah, nothing to be said. No updates on Hawks versus Godzilla. No updates on Rodan versus Overhaul. But either way, we've got a lot more game to be played this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic stuff. We're going to take a small break. We'll come back with our top 4 pretty soon. Hopefully we'll have some updates for you. And I think later on, Tam, we've even got a little bit of a Guilty Gear preview, don't we?
Yeah, I'm very excited. We got to see the preview in between, and wow, this one's really really cool. And I've already have UVS Ultra up and try to figure out where I can slot it into my current decks. It's really rad.
Well, we're going to take a small break. Go grab yourself a snack, get some breakfast if you're on the West Coast like myself, and don't go anywhere. You're not going to want to miss a minute of this UniVersus action from Canada.